did you have to choose between two lives? I was 15 when my mom asked me to pick which parent I wanted to live with. Not in some dramatic courtroom scene you see in movies, but sitting at our kitchen table on a Tuesday night over leftover pizza. They'd been fighting for months. Dad sleeping on the couch, mom crying in the shower thinking we couldn't hear. My little brother Jake was only 8 and had no clue what was happening. He kept asking why dad wasn't reading him bedtime stories anymore. We're getting divorced, mom said, picking pepperoni off her slice. The lawyers say you're old enough to choose. Dad just stared at his hands. Neither of them would look at me. The thing is, I loved them both completely differently. Dad taught me how to change oil, took me fishing every weekend, let me stay up late watching old war movies. He was the fun parent who brought home surprise ice cream and never made me do chores when I had homework. But mom was my person. She knew I hated the crust cut off my sandwiches, bought me books before I even finished the last one, stayed up all night when I had the flu. She remembered everything. Every friend's name, every test I was nervous about, every stupid thing that mattered to me. The custody thing got messy fast. Dad was moving 3 hours away for work. Mom was staying in our house. If I picked dad, I'd leave my school, my friends, everything I knew. If I picked mom, I'd barely see dad anymore, maybe just summers and holidays. But here's the part that really messed me up. Jake couldn't choose. At 8, the court said he was too young. Whatever I decided, he'd have to do the opposite. They were splitting us up to be fair. So really, I wasn't choosing between my parents. I was choosing which kid got which parent. If I went with dad, Jake stayed with mom. If I stayed with mom, Jake went with dad. I knew Jake needed mom more than me. He still had nightmares, still needed help with homework, still cried when he scraped his knee. But I also knew dad would be completely alone if neither of us picked him. I spent 2 weeks thinking about it. Lost 15 pounds because I couldn't eat. My grades went to hell. My best friend Ashley kept asking what was wrong. But how do you explain that your family is making you choose who gets abandoned? The night before I had to decide, Jake crawled into my bed. Are you gonna live with dad? He whispered. I told him I didn't know yet. He was quiet for a long time, then said, I hope you pick mom. I don't want to be alone with her when she cries. That's when I realized Jake knew everything. He heard the fights, saw mom crying, noticed dad sleeping on the couch. He was just 8, but he wasn't stupid. So I made my choice. I picked dad, not because I loved him more, but because Jake needed mom, and mom needed Jake. Dad needed someone too, but he was stronger. He could handle being alone better than an 8-year-old could. The day I moved, Jake helped me pack. He put his favorite stuffed dinosaur in my suitcase and said I could keep it until I came back. I didn't have the heart to tell him I might not come back for a really long time. Living with dad was harder than I thought. New school, no friends, and dad working 60 hours a week to afford the bigger apartment he got so I'd have my own room. We ate a lot of takeout and watched a lot of TV in silence, but the worst part was the phone calls home. Jake would tell me about school and his new teacher, and I could hear him getting quieter each week. Mom would get on and try to sound cheerful, but I could tell she was struggling too. 6 months in, dad sat me down